This episode is brought to you by Heyday. Feeling stressed? Take a moment for yourself with Heyday. Stroll through rows of golden wheat, tend to cute barnyard animals, and discover the joys of a digital farm retreat. You don't have to hop in a car or catch a plane. Escape to the farm at the tap of a finger. With Heyday, you're not just tending to a farm, you're tending to yourself. Heyday. Search Heyday, that's Hay space DAY, in your favorite app store. Heyday is a free-to-play mobile game and offers optional in-app purchases and random rewards.
The First Lady of New York Radio, Joan Hamburg. Entertaining and informative. Talk Radio 77 WABC.
Welcome, everyone, to the Joan Hamburg Show. And one of the most interesting people in our world of media is Jake Tapper. Jake is a very well-known broadcaster. He's a great writer. He's written bestsellers that have made the New York Times list. And he speaks, he does a zillion things. And I just read his latest thriller. And I'm a thriller person. And I couldn't put this book down. Of course, I've destroyed the book by folding all the pages. It's called All the Demons Are Here. And Jake, if you read his other recent books, The Devil May Dance, he's terrific at what he does. Congratulations. And this one I heard is doing its job, eyeing the New York Times list, going right there. What happens when you finish a book? Like, this is a big book with a lot of research. What happens? Do you take time off, give yourself a little treat? How do you function?
Well, thank you for the kind words, Joan. I'm really happy to hear that you couldn't put it down. That makes me really excited to hear. No, I mean, what you have to do then is you have to go out there and sell the book, not easy. But I am taking a little bit of a break right now. Usually, the last few books I've gone from book to book to book, and once you hand it in. Which is, usually anywhere from 6 months to a year before publishing, then there's more time to start the next book. I have started a couple books, one nonfiction and one fiction, but I've put it down for a couple weeks just to take some time off and just relax and then figure out what I want the next book to be, whether it's another thriller or a nonfiction book or what. But so you're reaching me at, like, right now I'm kind of relaxing.
Okay, well, you need to treat yourself to that. And what's interesting is whenever I read your books, I have to remind myself that I'm reading fiction because it's all real. The figures are real. The characters are real. And they're great adventures. I love thrillers. That's, when people, I'm a reader, but to really curl up and relax, it's got to be a thriller.
Well, thank you. I mean, I agree. I'm the same way. I need to have like a real momentum to keep me turning the pages to figure out what's going on.
Right, and what's happening.
Yeah, I agree. Playing with historical fiction is a lot of fun because you do get to play. I play with the eras. I've written 3 books now, one in the 50s, one in the 60s, and this one takes place in 1977. And I really try to research the era and write about that time, use real people from that era along with fictitious people, and have the real people seem real and having them say and do things that they normally would say and do.
And then you feel you know them, like Elvis Presley, who is very much a part of this.
Evel Knievel, Elvis Presley, all sorts of characters from that period. And obviously, 1977, so many wild things happened, and it was very fun to almost have 1977 as a character throwing things at my main characters, because you have I'm trying to think just the list of things. So it's Jimmy Carter is inaugurated. There are UFO sightings across the country. Studio 54 opens. There's the New York City blackout, the Son of Sam serial killer, the rise of tabloid journalism in New York City because of Son of Sam, and on and on. Elvis dies in 1977. Star Wars, Saturday Night Fever, so many exciting things. The Nixon Frost interviews. So it was a lot of fun to just like kind of time travel when I'm writing one of these books. You kind of time travel and put yourself in this era when you write.
But it's interesting to read about your background and read about the path that you took, because you were doing cartoons, you were doing a lot of different things, and then all of a sudden these thrillers started coming.
Yeah, well, I always wanted to do something in the fiction realm. I originally, after college, I went to film school and wanted to learn how to write screenplays. I wanted to do, as you noted, I wanted to be a cartoonist and I wanted to do like a comic strip like Doonesbury. But then, my career just took a different path, and I ended up in journalism, in nonfiction, and then I wrote, a few nonfiction books. But then, I never stopped loving fiction. I never stopped loving thrillers and the like, and I decided to give it a shot. So, back in 2018, the first of these books came out, the Hellfire Club, and it was, it did well, and so it's a different muscle to flex. Fiction from nonfiction, but I do get to, the history nerd in me gets to do research and find the fun parts of history to write about, and so that people feel like they're really in the era, listening to the music of the era, experiencing the weirdness of 1977. So it's a lot of fun.
Right, and then you reintroduce us to a British family in the newspaper business, and we first start reading, and then it's like, well, we know that family. Everything is so real.
Yeah.
That, how sometimes when you read a lot of fiction, and I'm a very fast reader, so sometimes I have to go back and read some of it over, because I think, could that have really happened? And that's the way I feel when I'm reading your books.
Yeah,
and in this particular book, there are a very interesting pair of kids, Ike and Lucy. Their parents are Senator Charles, and the mother, Margaret. And the kids were been in your books before, but this time we see a grown-up version.
Yeah, so Charlie and Margaret are the main characters of the first two books, and then their Charlie and Margaret are in this book, in All the Demons Are Here, but their kids, as you note, Ike and Lucy are the real stars. Ike is 20. He's an AWOL Marine, and he is working on Evel Knievel's pit crew in Butte, Montana. Lucy is 22, and she is working for the Washington Star newspaper. But then this new family, very loosely based on the Murdochs, although the dad is very directly based on Rupert Murdoch, the Lyon family, they come into town, and they have started a tabloid in Washington, D.C. called the Washington Sentinel. And before Lucy knows it, she's been hired by them, and she's covering a serial killer in Washington, D.C., and the family wants this serial killer that she's covering to be as successful for them as the Son of Sam serial killer has been or is being for the New York Daily News and the New York Post up I-95 there. So those are the two adventures that they're in. One's kind of a whodunit in terms of the serial killer, and then Ike's adventure is more about his serving under his working for Evel Knievel, who is unpredictable and wild and starts a run for president that Ike starts following him on.
Now, where did Evel Knievel come from in your fertile imagination?
Well, I was going to be writing about the 70s, and a friend of mine is a big Evel Knievel fan. I never really understood it, but he said, this is such a great character, such a great American character. And I said, well, what I know of him, he doesn't seem like that great a guy. And he said, no, he's not, but he's such a great American character. You should watch this documentary called Being Evil. So I watched this documentary, Being Evil, that was produced by Johnny Knoxville, and it was really good and really fascinating. And then I just started reading more, and then I thought, well, this is just a wonderful character to play with. In the second book in the series, The Devil May Dance, I did a similar thing with Frank Sinatra. He's a major character in the book,
right.
and I got to play with him and learn about him and write about him and kind of capture who he was. And I did the same thing with Evel Knievel. I think that Frank Sinatra was, warts and all, probably a better guy than Evel Knievel was, but they're both just these quintessentially...
More attractive, easier to like.
Yeah, definitely. But they're both these kind of quintessential American, larger-than-life figures that are a lot of fun.
And I didn't realize that when you were working a long time ago, you started working for Marjorie Margolis, an old friend. Our kids were college roommates. Purely by coincidence.
Yeah, 100 years ago, right out of college in the early 90s. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had just come back from film school that I dropped out of, and she and my dad were friends from way back. And in fact, I think Marjorie had dated one of my dad's friends in college. So when she started running for Congress, I volunteered because I had nothing else to do. I was the unemployed.
You got her elected.
Well, I don't know that I got her elected, but she got elected, and that was a really interesting campaign. And everybody, I think, at some point in their life should work in politics just to see how it actually works, whether you actually have strong political positions or not, whichever party you work for, just seeing how it works is really eye-opening.
Yeah, that's for sure. But our kids, Marjorie's daughter, was spending her junior year in Korea, and she hadn't been able to get hold of her. And she was in her car commuting from Philly to Washington. I think she was doing a Sunday show. I don't remember now. And in her car, she turned on the radio. And there I was saying that I just got back from Asia, and I met Marjorie Margolis, who is a journalist. I met her daughter in Korea. She was like screaming, pulled her car over to the side of the road because she hadn't been able to find her. And there had been problems in Korea during that time. Anyway, it's a small world. And
yeah,
I had all forgotten about your adventures there. So no more cartooning, or is that a hobby?
It's a hobby right now. It's not anything that I do right now except for my kids and my friends. Yeah.
And when you're working on a book, and these books are really researched and there are a lot of historic content, is it a year or more?
It's about, I start off doing months and months of research and reading, and then once I have the outline of the book, I start writing the book, but I'm still doing research as I'm writing the book. It's not like all the research comes at once. While I have an outline, and then I'll think about, well, what if this scene takes place in May 1977, what movies are playing, what music is playing, what's going on in the news right then. So the research is nonstop.
Yeah, but that's all part of what it takes. And you're doing, in the beginning, you weren't doing that much TV, but now you're a major TV person.
Well, I was a print journalist first in the 90s for Washington City Paper and some other places, and then I started doing TV reporting full-time in 2003 for ABC News, and then I just, worked my way up. At ABC News, I was made the senior White House correspondent when Obama was inaugurated, so 2009. I did that for his first term, and then came to CNN to start my own show, to anchor my own show. And now my show, The Lead, The Lead is on at 4. It's a 2-hour news show. And then I also co-host the Sunday show, State of the Union.
Which is great. And stuff that we all love. Does all this make you happy? And I'm always interested in print because I feel that doing print journalism in my early days, I learned how to write. And that was something that I considered a gift and took it with me.
I loved being a print journalist. That was a lot of fun. I still do a lot of writing. Obviously, I write my scripts, not all my scripts, but I work with my staff on my scripts. And, I write these books, but I also do some writing for CNN.com and other stuff. I did a big story in the Atlantic magazine that came out last October about a prisoner that I think is innocent, that's been in jail now for 11 years. And so I'm constantly doing it. I do still love print. Yeah, absolutely.
And with all that's going on in television, CNN, everything changing all the time, does that have an impact on you, or you're doing your thing?
Well, I mean, of course it has an impact. But the job is, as you know, it doesn't matter who the boss is or what tumult is going on or what anything else, any other of the distractions that's part of being at a TV news channel. The job is to do a 2-hour news show every day. And so I basically try to just keep my head down and do my job. There's a lot of nonsense that comes with being on TV, including, attacks from other networks like Fox or whatever, that are not, based on lies or whatever. But the focus is on the viewers. The focus is on what is the most important news of the day and how to present it in the most fair and honest way possible, et cetera. So that, I think, is a really big part of my focus.
Is it still Donald Trump that gets a big draw? And has that had an impact on the work you do?
Well, I don't decide what the lead story is based on ratings. I decide what the lead story is based on, what is the most important story that, we have led the show this week, some of it with obviously his most recent indictment, which is, a former president being indicted is huge news.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, and some of it with what's going on in Hawaii, the devastation there. But I mean, look, the fact of the matter is, ratings or not, we're in unprecedented times with these indictments of Donald Trump, and they are big news, and they're important. Whether you support Donald Trump or not, it's an important development that he has now been indicted 4 times by 4 different jurisdictions. And
Jake, with all the indictments, I mean, we were at some gathering, and a whole bunch of even journalists, women, who were like, he can keep being indicted. Nothing happens to this guy. Is that still true, or are these indictments going to really hit home?
I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I know I hear from people who say he'll never be held accountable. This is so awful. But I can't predict it. I mean, I know that he is. There are 3 very serious indictments against him. And a 4th one in New York that I think is probably less serious. And I think that in terms of the strength of the case, based on what legal experts have said, and I think that they are important and will be reckoned with. I can't predict whether how a jury will find, or whether or when he will go to trial, or whether there will be any punishment. I have no idea. I'm just here to cover it as it happens. I'm not gleeful about it. I'm not depressed about it. It is the news. It is unprecedented. But by the same token, his actions have been unprecedented in terms of, trying to overturn the election and what he did with classified documents. So, we're just here to cover the news and let the chips fall where they may. And, our viewers can make up their own minds how they feel about any of it.
Right, and cover all the people in power. Doing this for now a considerable amount of time, Do you have any interest at all in going into politics?
Oh God, no, never.
Never. That's a long time.
That doesn't interest me at all. I don't think I'd be particularly good at it. I'm not a particularly good liar. I feel scrupulously adhering to facts is important. I don't preach to choirs, probably to my own detriment. Like I'll go before a liberal crowd and I'm inclined to say things that they don't want to hear. That's just how I'm wired. So I don't think I'd be good at it, and I'm probably exactly where I belong right now.
Okay. And if you've never read one of Jake's books, the latest thriller, All the Demons Are Here. I'm telling you, with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, you want to get in a good chair and sit and go on the adventure, because it really is a thriller. And you're going to know a lot of the people. If you didn't before, you're going to know them now. Congratulations, Jake. I look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you so much, Joan. Really, really appreciate it. Have a great day.
You too. I'm Joan Hamburg, and you're listening to WABC, and more ahead.
There are black beans, and then there are Goya black beans. Whole, plump, delicious, and loved by all kinds of chefs. The professional chefs at Chef's Best love them so much, they awarded our beans their Excellence Award. At Home Chefs love them so much, they awarded our beans the internationally acclaimed Goya black beans. Whole, plump, and oh so delicious. Find them in the Goya section of your local grocery store. If it's Goya, it has to be good.